Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services, including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. Is It Legal focuses on the legal issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices in Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning, Mike.
You know, Tom, we are experiencing in our practice a concerted effort by long-term care facilities to divert people away from getting quality elder law advice.
Yeah, unfortunately, what you're seeing is a misdirection or a shell game of sorts where families are being told that the nursing home will take care of everything and their people will help them. And they have very nice, welcoming folks on staff, but the reality is they're not getting the full story as to what families' options are in a nursing home admission.
You know, and I look at, you know, the old saying right now, we're seeing it in the political world today, follow the money. Mm-hmm. Well, when you look at follow the money, does the nursing home make more or less money by you being on government assistance?
Well, they are not going to make what they would make if they were billing you privately out of your pocket.
So when they're looking at your private pot of money and you're looking at the qualifying for benefits, then, you know, the reality is they're economically incented to not necessarily give you the advice that's going to get you the best possible outcome.
Exactly, and what you'll see is even though they know that there are these options and techniques that we employ every day, they will purposely withhold that information and lead you to spend money that you ordinarily would not be obligated to spend.
And so we're seeing a pattern of diversion of people away from qualified elder law attorneys. Mm-hmm. We're seeing the same thing in discharge planners and health systems because they tend to repeat what the government's position is, and there's no greater entity economically incented to have you not find out what your options are than the government is.
Exactly. It's unfortunate, but you know, these are your dollars, and so the government employees, they know what the rules are, but when they don't tell you the full story, that in my mind is not being honest with the family.
And so one of the challenges here is that when you combine that with a public perception is if you've allowed yourself to be ensnared in the long-term care system, they'll be telling you there's nothing you can do. You should have done something 5 years ago, and it's just simply not true. At every level in this process, you have the opportunity to potentially improve the outcome.
Absolutely. You know, that's an excellent point because we spend an inordinate amount of time dispelling the rumors and the false information that's propagated by discharge planners and government employees in nursing homes.
And unfortunately, it's further compounded by lawyers who are not familiar with these rules, CPAs, financial planners, next-door neighbors, friends, and relatives, all of whom are perpetuating a myth that if you find yourself ensnared in this, there's nothing you can do. And the fact is you always have options.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's, I think, the greatest value we bring to the table is making sure people know what the options are and dispelling the rumors and the wives' tales so that people can make good decisions.
You know, and oftentimes we've talked about this in recent weeks, and we've just seen this prevalence of people believing that in order to call us, it's going to be multiple thousands of dollars, and it's just absolutely not true. You come in, you have a consultation, we try to explain to you what your options are. You're going to pay for the time that you were there, nothing else.
Exactly, and so for any family we deal with, it's very powerful and affordable and economical to know what your choices are and to get a plan in place.
And people have to understand, I hear this all the time, well, I can't afford to go see a lawyer because I'm paying $10,000 a month at a nursing home. And in reality, what you just said is why you need to be certain that that expenditure is in fact necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in most, especially married couple situations, that's a bad call, because you could be saving that and it goes to the financial security of that healthy spouse at home.
And generally speaking, in most married couple cases, first of all, there's two sets of rules. Set of rules for single people, set of rules for married couples. They have nothing to do with each other. And so in reality, married couples, the law is designed to assure the security of the healthy spouse, and yet every day they're being told they have to spend down all of their money, which is just simply not true.
Yeah, that's a good point, because these are complicated rules, and so if you don't follow them or you confuse the rules, you could be playing the wrong game and hurting yourself financially.
You know, one of the interesting things is it's a little bit of information creates a complete misinformation. And so, for instance, when you look at medical assistance planning for a married couple, you'll see all assets are at risk. Well, people immediately translate all assets are at risk to mean I'm going to lose them. No, all it means is they count. It's not the end of the conversation. It is the beginning of the conversation. And so for those assets at risk, you have to take steps to protect yourself. But notice we didn't say you're going to lose them. You just must take steps to protect yourself.
And that's an excellent point to emphasize, that there are these rules, and they're easy to shade the truth by not telling you the whole story, and so that's our job. And so that's what you're not seeing with discharge planners and nursing home people and the government. You need the whole story.
So they got the first piece of the story correct, but that's just the beginning of the conversation. It is not the end of the conversation.
Exactly. It's like reading half the book. You need to read the book.
Well, then we deal with this stuff where, once again, there's misinformation. You'll have a situation in which people will hear that their IRA is exempt from creditor rights, which it is. But on the other hand, they will then mean it's not available for the nursing home, which is not true.
But in some circumstances, it might be. And so that's how complex these rules are. And so it just depends on a lot of facts that hopefully we can just get to the bottom of.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance worries to us. Write Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Double Safe Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lowe to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Chris Kopco, Planetarium and STEM instructor, Washington County Board of Ed. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me here.
Chris, you know, we're a show primarily focused on the retirement community, but we find education and interest in space continues no matter what your age is.
Absolutely. There's so much to learn. We're always learning new things.
And so the Board of Ed, for a long period of time, has had a planetarium.
Yep, since 1969, I believe, is when it first opened.
And so that planetarium, while it's focused on both during the day educational opportunities for students, also has public events as well.
Yes, we do it twice a month, usually the first and fourth Tuesday of the month at 7 o'clock.
All right, and so that place has undergone a lot of change. In fact, we'll have Director Greg pull up some pictures here of, I can remember, it's still an ugly old building. You don't have to respond to that off of
There's some new
Frederick
landscaping.
Street. Well, that's good, but so it was there, it made no sense to move it, and so you continue to operate out of the old Board of Ed building there. And it does have a nice sign on it, so you can
Yes,
identify.
right.
So this is the old planetarium projector.
Yes, that was what we used in the center of the planetarium, that and about 50 other slide projectors before we
All
upgraded.
right, and so, you know, part of what people need to understand is a lot of narration goes on here, a lot of explanation as to what they're looking at, and the sky is obviously huge, so you kind of narrow it down to something they can actually begin to understand.
Absolutely. We always do a night sky tour to give people an idea of what's out there so they can go out and look up and see in their own skies that night.
Now, when you sit there, this looks a little bit more comfortable than perhaps trying to sit in a lawn chair on your yard.
They are. And sometimes it's a struggle for people to stay awake when the lights go down, but we try to keep them awake and
But you have to wait for dark, though. And so now this is computer driven.
Yes, it's a brand new system, much smaller and more compact, but a lot more powerful than what we had before.
All right, and so I'm assuming there's a lot of software being developed to improve the presentations in planetariums.
Absolutely. It used to be slideshows. Now it's all digital. It's kind of like being in an IMAX movie theater, but it happens all around you.
So what is this piece of equipment here?
That is one of the new projectors. We have 2 of those instead of the big one we used to have that we saw in a previous picture.
All right, and then when you have those evening events, I gather there's an opportunity for the family to come out a little bit early.
Absolutely. Come out, have a little picnic out there by the capsule that we have out there, and it's a nice little area.
All right, and so speaking of capsule, I think that'll be coming up here. Is that what, an Apollo capsule?
Yes, as a command module where the astronauts would sit, and we had our guys, they redid the entire thing, and actually NASA wanted to know how we did that and how we did such a good job with that, so we've been in touch with them on helping to get theirs redone.
So 3 people, you know, starting in 1969, rode to the moon in that thing. 3 guys in there, not a lot of space. But,
I can't imagine.
All right, so in any event, so tell us some of the programming that's coming up.
Okay, sure. We've got Moon's Worlds of Mystery coming up on the 27th at 7 o'clock. That's about some of the moons in our solar system.
That's
some
February.
Of them, yes, sorry, in February. And it will be about some of the moons that have the possibility of maybe even hosting life. So there's some really interesting moons in our solar system that are a part of that.
All right, so you mentioned that it's available to the public. Tell us
Yes.
a little bit about what the rules are.
Sure. So we have a 5:30 program for kids, actually. So if grandparents want to bring their kids, that's a great time to bring the kids.
Better
7
chance
o'clock.
of staying awake. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. 7 o'clock is for the adults, or for anyone really. And it is $3 for adults, $2 for students. Washington County Gold Card for senior citizens. Get that at any school. You can get a form to request that, take it back to the schools, and you get in for free.
You know, I was looking at, you have a lot of nice seats there, but do you have to make reservations? Is it better, or can you do that?
It is actually first come, first serve. So we don't have a reservation process. So we open the doors half an hour before the show starts. Sometimes we sell out, sometimes we don't. If you're there 15 minutes before the show starts, usually you're in pretty good shape.
All right, so now I made fun of the building. Where is it actually located?
It is 820 Commonwealth Avenue. It's back, like you said, where the old Board of Education building is.
Off of Frederick Street in Hagerstown. Anybody welcome?
Absolutely. Everyone's welcome.
And you know, how often do you turn those shows over?
We do twice a month, first and fourth Tuesday of the month generally.
When do you change the shows?
Oh, they actually change every time. So we have so many new shows, and they're really good shows. We don't redo them. So each year it's new shows every week.
So you can go on the Board of Ed website and find out what the presentations are going to be?
They've got something running on there right now. It's right on the main page that will take you right to our website.
Chris, I want to thank you for taking time to come to the show. Being an inveterate space buff, I love the planetarium.
That's great. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you. More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
Come on, Dad, let's go! We're gonna be late! Hurry!
Just one more bid on HurleyAuctions.com. If you haven't visited HurleyAuctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at HurleyAuctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Dean Cook, local ambassador of the Maryland Association of Parkinson's Support. Welcome to the show, Dean.
Thanks, Michael, for having me.
Dean, first of all, what is Parkinson's disease?
Michael, Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological disorder in the brain, and when I say it's progressive, it's going to get worse over time. There's a tremendous amount of research going on, but as of now, there's no cure.
So what kind of symptoms would people have that might reflect the onset of Parkinson's?
The one thing about Parkinson's is there's an old saying in the Parkinson's community, if you've seen one person with Parkinson's, you've seen one person with Parkinson's, because everybody's unique. The tremors, of course, is one of the big things people see and notice, but there's rigidity, there's freezing up, there's slurring of words, there's a whole gamut of symptoms out there.
So as we look at you, I know you've been diagnosed, we'll talk about that in just a moment, but there's no tremors. It's not part of the manifestation of the illness in terms of how it affects you.
About 30% of people do not have tremors, as I recall, and of course that could change over time, but as of now, no, I do not have any tremors.
So what's the incidence of Parkinson's in our society?
There are 1 million people nationwide who have Parkinson's disease. Normally the onset of Parkinson's is anywhere between 55 and 65 years old, but there are quite a few people who are diagnosed at an earlier age.
So I know you don't mind talking about it on a personal level because you are part of a support group, which you talk about it all the time, but give us a little idea how your symptoms began.
I retired about 6 or 7 years ago, and I had some weakness on the right side, in the leg and the arm. I was slurring my words, which my wife noticed. My writing skills were diminishing. So I wanted to get a definitive answer of what was going on. So I called Johns Hopkins and went in for a diagnosis, and there's no blood test for Parkinson's. It's simply we're looking at the physical symptoms.
All right, and so that took a while actually, because as you say, there's like no blood test or anything else for Parkinson's.
That's right. At first they thought it might be carpal tunnel, in my situation, carpal tunnel syndrome, cubital tunnel syndrome. I had surgery for both those things, nothing worked. It's a hard thing to diagnose.
And then, of course, it was diagnosed, and part of it is too is it typically has a very lengthy process there, and so you'd look at you right now, you couldn't tell the difference between you and a person on the street.
That's true, and there are different stages of it. So far, I've been fortunate enough. The medications, there are some medications that have been around for a long time. Levodopa carbidopa is a synthetic medication that replaces the dopamine in the system, and that seems to work for a lot of people. But as time goes on, the levodopa carbidopa is not going to work as well as it did before, and it's going to get worse.
All right, so people have the diagnosis of Parkinson's. Of course, we work with that diagnosis in a law firm because we really want people to understand that it is not necessarily going to be a financial disaster if you do proper planning. But on the other hand, as unrelated to that is that you also need to take care of yourself. And I know your organization is very focused on helping people do that. Tell us a little bit about your support groups.
Absolutely, Michael. The Hagerstown Parkinson's Support Group, we attract about 50 or 60 members at our meetings every month. We have our meetings the first Thursday at the Western Sizzlin' Steakhouse. We get the best speakers in the area from Johns Hopkins and University of Maryland. We get the top experts in the field to come in and discuss Parkinson's. Imagine a room full of 60 friends who are there for support and solace and encouragement to help each other get through this journey. It's an amazing thing.
And part of it is if you isolate yourself, you're trying to invent the wheel, whereas these people have been through this before. They have ideas on how to make it easier for you to manage the process, plus the shared experience.
Absolutely, and that is so important. It's not a depressing meeting, it's uplifting, it's fun, it's a social gathering, and people leave that meeting with a comfort level that they didn't have before.
Now, I noticed as I introduced you, it's the Maryland Association of Parkinson's Support. So basically that organization on a national level is supporting support organizations probably in every county in our viewing area.
Absolutely, they do, and I'm the local ambassador, and my job in that capacity is to reach out for people in the Parkinson's community. If you're out there listening to this program, if you're a Parkinson's person, you have a family member, a churchgoer, anybody you know, if they want to get in touch with us, please have them do so.
So let's go to the magic question. How would they get in touch with
I'll
you?
give you my home phone number. It's 304-267-7819. Call me anytime, day or night. I'll meet you in your home. I'll talk to you on the phone. I'll tell you what support's out there and be very happy to do it.
And then get you to that group meeting where you can have a bunch of socialization, nice meal, and a lot of fun talking and learning a lot.
Absolutely. It's a great thing.
Dean, I want to thank you for taking time to appear on our program.
Thanks for having me, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you. More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation continues to create great impact in Frederick County, thanks to generous donors. As our community evolves, so do we. While we don't have a real crystal ball that can predict the future, we are poised and ready to see things differently and help nonprofits, city and county agencies, civic groups, faith-based organizations, businesses, families, and individuals to solve problems within our community.
Albright, Crumbacker, Mal and Idtel are a full-service firm that provides elder care services including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various financial issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Doug Fiery from Douglas Fiery Funeral Homes. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Thanks, Mike.
You know, when we talk about funerals, first of all, we have a lot of people begin the conversation, if I die.
Yeah, we've talked about it often, haven't we? Yeah, it's not if, it's when, but it's a good opportunity we have to sit and talk about pre-planning and taking advantage of what we can do with that.
And one of the reasons we're big proponents of pre-planning is you look at the way our society is running today. We have a lot of children who no longer reside in the same area as their parents. And as a result of which, when this event occurs, sometimes it's quite difficult for families to be able to manage that process.
It is, because there's a lot of information that needs to be gathered, a lot of decisions that need to be made, and a lot of times in a relatively quick time frame, within a couple of days of each other, and that puts a lot of stress on the family, especially when they're out of town and trying to struggle to get into town.
And one of the challenges that we've had here, particularly, has been a lot of transition in terms of how people view funerals. And, for instance, there were some religious obstacles to doing cremations, not that long ago, and yet today nobody tends to have much of a problem with that. And so you might have had a family that, for faith reasons, had said absolutely no cremation, and yet 10 years ago they changed their mind. But not everybody in the family understood that they had changed their mind.
That's right. Mom and dad ends up sharing different stories with different kids at different times, and that can cause a lot of the confusion, and that goes back to what we're saying about go ahead and getting things taken care of with pre-arrangements and sitting down, talking about it, getting all this down on some formality to it and trying to get that taken care of.
And we're a big believer. Not only do we want what the family wanted to get done, but we want the family to survive the process. And one of the problems is this is a very stressful environment, so you've already added, incendiary, input to the process, and then you have miscommunications, and you end up with a situation where a family that should not have had a problem ends up with a problem.
Right. And I really do feel, and even though it's tough for people to make those pre-arrangements sometimes, I think when mom and dad can sit down there and do that, it's one of the greatest gifts they can give their children, because it does take that burden off the kids. A lot of times they don't even know, not only did some people do talking about it and share different ideas. There's some parents who have never shared anything. And in that point, the kids are really lost because they have no idea what mom or dad's wishes were.
And we have a lot of World War II vets passing right now, and oftentimes the children have really no idea, dad or mom's experience in the war.
Right, absolutely. And then they start hearing some things, and they maybe decide that they want honors or something like that, or American flag to be displayed, and we start asking for things like DD 2214s, and they don't have a clue where they are, in the house, even if they do have one. So again, here we start adding to the stress, the pile of things that they have to make decisions on. So.
Well, and the other thing is people are under this misconception. In order to call you and come see you, they have to pay for it.
Right. And we've talked about this time and time again. I just spoke with a family the other day, and it's funny because I said that to them about not having to pay. And within 10 minutes after I said that, they immediately said to me again, well, we don't really want to have to put that money out right now. So sometimes they're not even hearing us when we're saying that. But it's, you know, the biggest thing is sitting down and making all those decisions, talking about vital information, everything, just getting everything down and not having to worry about pay for it. You know, we can deal with that down the road if we have to.
And oftentimes we don't encourage people who have limited cash resources to prepay that funeral. They may need it for their care, but they own a house, which means sooner or later that house is going to get sold, and there'll be plenty of resources to pay for it, not necessarily today, but at some point in the future.
That's exactly right. You know, we've talked about how many times that there are situations that are just different for every family, and that's why we really like to sit down with them and go over everything, because every family is different, every situation is different, and you're right. There are absolutely times when it's better off not to pay.
Now, we've had some people concerned, and legitimately so, because it's big publicity whenever a funeral director, you know, misappropriates the money. But there are a lot of safeguards in place against that. Tell us a little bit about it.
Maryland probably has some of the best laws in the country. In fact, a lot of states do mimic Maryland in that sense. You know, 100% of the money that's given to us is trusted, and it's actually, we use it most of the time. Everybody in the state uses an insurance product as a way to fund that.
So when you say trusted, it might be deposited in a bank account.
Right.
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 Not in your bank account, but
right. It's actually separated
Right.
from that,
Right.
and we don't. Those monies are not touched until the services are rendered. So you're protected by that insurance, which is a plus. You're also protected from that with a trust fund that's set up through the Maryland State Board of Morticians that protects against that.
So it sort of mimics the federal deposit insurance.
It does, and so there's a lot of those safeguards built into the system in Maryland, and that really, you know, I guess when I say when I can lay my head down at night and feel good about everything we're doing, it makes me feel better as well.
Doug, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just this simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.